I think he's really nervous about jumping the heavyweight. I think he's really concerned about his legacy. I think he's really concerned about what heavyweights can do to him if they touch him. And I think that's. I don't want to say he's scared because it's Jon Jones. He's fought everyone. He's been, the 205 champ for how long? And a lot of people consider him the greatest of all time. Um, but he's extremely nervous about making that jump to the heavyweight division, and he should be.
When we first started doing interviews, man, you were this clean-cut, freshly
Yeah.
shaven dude. Fast forward,
Yeah.
you've grown this massive beard. Is there
Yeah,
like a
it's a good
sense
beard.
of freedom with growing facial
Absolutely.
hair?
Yeah, because I had to shave for work. I had to be professional, clean shaven at all times. So now that I'm out of that life, it's really good that you kind of just let things go. And I'm still trimming it up. I got to get a haircut in a couple of days, but it's still, it feels really good. Like it's just awesome. I love having a beard. I'll never go back to clean shaven unless, like, obviously if my wife would, wants like pictures done, or you know, we'll see. Maybe if my kids get married and all that stuff, we'll see.
Do you feel like you're more like who you really are now compared to like when you first started in the UFC, because you get to just be you, like there's no filters anymore?
There's no filters anymore. Yeah, like before I had to worry about you always have to worry about your reputation, but you have to represent your job and the police department and stuff like that. And I really, I've never really opened my mouth on certain subjects, mainly because people would dismiss what I say anyway, strictly because of my background and stuff like that. So there's really no use in trying to change those people's minds because they're kind of really stuck in their own ways, and I just don't want to waste my breath on that. I think that it would be my breath is better used for other things. So yeah, it's really good. To actually be myself and not have to like put a smile on and kind of like nonchalantly answer questions or avoid certain questions. So yeah, it's really good now.
Bryce Mitchell, he recently did an interview for some like CNN or something, and he was talking about
Yeah,
exactly what you were saying. Is like Dana White don't care, like he
yeah,
said like I
it's
work for the
goofy
UFC,
ass.
like there's no filters, and
Yeah,
and I kind of see that, I mean, even who else was telling me? Dan Hooker was telling me himself too, like other sports, they have to sign
yeah,
contracts and that they
yeah,
can't, express themselves a certain way in interviews or
yeah,
whatever. But in the UFC,
yeah.
that is very limited. You guys can say what you want.
Yeah, and that's what's really cool, and what is really great about being an independent contractor
Mhm.
is they can let us go at any time. So
Yeah.
you might as well be able to say whatever the fuck you want. So I'm cool with it.
All right, cool. Yeah, let's jump into it. Curtis Blaydes,
All right.
main event, full arena.
Yeah,
It's hard to say no to those circumstances, right?
it really is. Yeah, yeah. They came calling. The UFC came calling. They laid it all out, and I was like, what am I gonna say? No? Yeah, yeah. I'll fucking fight Curtis Blaydes. So we're here. We're what, like
Mhm.
less than 3 weeks, obviously, a little bit over 2 weeks. So yeah, just finishing up training, just getting everything that I need to as far as like paperwork done, and I'm ready to go, man. I honestly can't wait.
Yeah, it's an exciting matchup, and when you get
Yeah,
to that top echelons of a division, you can lose
yeah,
one, and the next one you could earn a title shot if you win, which is crazy with
yeah,
this fight, right?
yeah. It's super weird to be in the position that I'm in. I didn't expect really to get uh another guy who's ranked in the top five. Curtis Blaydes is four. And then I didn't expect to get a main event, to be honest with you. I was expecting to going back to, three fives. Um, you know, I had my shot with the main event. I lost it, obviously. Derrick Lewis stopped me. So I didn't think that this was coming, but I'm not going to say no to this. So yeah, obviously I'm going to take it. So yeah, here we are talking to you, enjoying life, and getting ready for March 26th, man.
Yeah, it just shows you how wide open that division is.
Yeah, definitely. It's yeah, it's crazy. Like to think like I beat Curtis and then I don't know who else I would have to fight. I probably have to fight Gon, seeing how what's going to happen with him. But then I heard a rumor that Tai was going to fight Stipe. I think I seen that on Twitter or something. I think they were trying to shoot for July, something like that. But I don't know, man. I mean, I guess like does that become like an interim belt? Like what's going on with the interim belt? And then everyone got to say, where's Jon Jones fit in all this crazy horseshit of a division? So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see what goes on with him.
those rumors, yeah, I just heard them maybe a couple days ago, and it
Yeah,
makes me think, right? Like I like to put on my
yeah,
tinfoil hat sometimes and just
yeah,
think of like what's going on. And do you feel
yeah.
like it might be a ploy to get Jon Jones to come to terms to fight Stipe? Just throw that out there, those rumors.
Maybe, maybe. But Ty is also the type of guy to call you out on your bullshit. So if Ty's like, I don't know where these rumors are coming from, like he's not going to be the one to be like keep his mouth shut. He'll say it. So that's like the little thing to play with Ty. But I know from previous rumors, I heard that they offered Stipe Jon Jones before, and I think it was for an interim or it was like number one contender or whatever. And John didn't sign a contract, and I think I was watching Chael's page, Chael's YouTube page when he posted he did something on that, and I mean, take it for what it is. It's Chael,
Yeah.
but who knows? Who knows?
I love Chael and I love his videos, but man,
Yeah,
you cannot believe half the
I know,
stuff
and
he's
that's the
saying.
thing. Yeah, some shit he's good with. Other shit you're like, what is he talking about? You're like, there's no way this is gonna happen. Like kind of like me with Twitter when I said that Kayla Harrison was getting signed by the UFC. Dude, that created such a shit show, man.
Yeah.
Like my phone kept blowing up. I had people calling me, like media guys saying, "No, who's your source?" And I'm like thinking in the back of my head, I legit just made this shit up. Like it was awesome. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
I like it, man. That's awesome. Like you just put something out there, tinfoil hat stuff,
Just,
and people
just put it
believe
out
it.
there.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, Jon Jones, man. It just seems like he's
Yeah.
making the longest transition to a weight class we've ever seen in the history of this sport. Some people are at the point where they're like, he's never gonna come back. What do you think?
Yeah, I honestly, I mean, I don't know. He's still getting that taste of the limelight. I'd say of people talking about him, of him maybe trending on Twitter, of whatever, and he's not fighting. He doesn't have to fight, so he's liking that. As far as monetary goes, I don't know if he's getting paid endorsements, whatever. So I don't know how that's going to work. But you know, I think he's really, I think he's really nervous about jumping the heavyweight. I think he's really concerned about his legacy. I think he's really concerned about what heavyweights can do to him if they touch him. And I think that's. I don't want to say he's scared because it's Jon Jones. He's fought everyone. He's been the 205 champ for how long, and a lot of people consider him the greatest of all time. Um, but he's extremely nervous about making that jump to the heavyweight division, and he should be. Um, we're big, we hit hard, and if we connect, and when we do connect, it's not a forgiving thing. Like you can get away with it at 205, you can get away with it, like around there of coming off a weekend of partying and cocaine and all that. That's not happening with heavyweights, and that's just the nature of the beast. And I think he's really, really nervous about making that jump because he's worried about his legacy. So I don't think he'll ever fight. Personally,
Yeah, there's a
I don't think he'll
huge
fight.
difference. I think people don't understand is being scared and being concerned. It's not the same thing. So
Yeah,
people need to understand
it's
that.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, he's a very smart guy. I mean, he has done things in the past that people would consider stupid and dumb. But as far as his fighting career, he's not a dumb guy. He knows what he's doing, and like you said, he's not scared. I don't think he's scared of the heavy division. I don't think he's scared of anyone, really. And I don't think anyone in the UFC, especially in the top 10 or in their respective weight classes, is scared of anyone. Um, but he's very apprehensive about pulling the trigger on making the jump.
Now, back to your fight, man. Your opponent
Yeah,
Blades, he's only
yeah,
lost to two guys, Lewis
yeah,
and Ngannou. Do you go back and,
yeah.
and study those fights, or are you studying more of like his wins in his recent fights?
Everything, everything. Yeah, really, just everything. Doesn't matter to me who he's fought. I just look at tendencies that he does. Um, from past couple fights, really, because us as MMA fighters, a lot of the times, you can make a jump from skill set or tendencies from 2 fights into the next fight. So you really can't be. I can't be looking at videos of Curtis from 4 years ago. It's just not going to make any sense. So you generally what I do is with all my opponents, the last like 2 to 3 fights. If they fought, real quick, like, within like the last year, I'll watch those fights. But then it's usually just the most recent fights, just because those are the tendencies, and no one's really going to make that big of a jump, especially depending on the time off. So
Yeah, when you look at him, he, of course he's gonna wrestle, right? But then
yeah,
there's moments like long periods in his fights where he's trying to sit there and strike with you, kind of like trying to
yeah,
test out what he's learned from his
yeah,
coaches, in the striking department. And I
yeah,
feel like that's where you can take advantage of, right? If you have moments in
absolutely.
this fight, correct?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. I would definitely agree with that. He's getting more confident on his feet, and there's, that would just be like if I worked on my wrestling more, I'm gonna get obviously more confident in that. But he's always got that wrestling in his back pocket, so he could always fall back to that. He'll throw some jabs here. All right, let me work some footwork here and there, switch my stance a little bit, and then we'll go from there. Okay, we did what we wanted in the fight. Now let's get back to what we do. Let's start wrestling. So I don't know if that's what he's been doing. He's like slowly building up. Okay, let's stand for 7 minutes. Let's stand for 8 minutes. So we'll see. We'll see what he comes out with. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
I think fans don't realize that. Sometimes fighters will go out there and
Yeah,
say, like, this is what I want to accomplish. I'm still going to win, but this is what I want to try.
yeah,
And then I'll build on
absolutely,
from that in the next fight and the
absolutely.
next fight. And then next they've created this new skill set that they could
Yeah,
utilize perfectly.
yeah. And then people are like, "Oh my God, where'd the skill set come from?" And you're just like, look back at the
Hmm.
last 5 fights that I've been slowly chipping away and slowly building it up. So yeah, it's really cool.
Now, the Derrick Lewis loss, man. What did you learn from
Yeah,
facing him?
don't get hit by Derrick Lewis. Um, nah, man, the whole experience was awesome. Um, don't fight a big puncher like that in the apex cage again. Me and my brother go back and forth about this all the time, and my coach as well. I didn't think that it made that much of a difference, but looking back and being in there and seeing how he cut the cage off and how quickly he cut the cage off, and me realizing that I had nowhere to go. That's a major factor that I dismissed because I didn't think that it was a major factor. My brother said it's a major factor. Me and him were always going back and forth, but looking back on the Derrick Lewis fight, that is one of the major factors that I'm going to have to keep in mind going forward with the type of fights that I have and the type of opponents that I face.
Yeah, and the two things I look at was like your agility and your speed,
Yeah,
two advantages in
yeah,
that fight, and it kind of because the space wasn't big enough, you weren't be
yeah.
able to use it, right? Is that kind of like what
Correct.
happened?
Yeah, yeah, that's a fair enough assessment. But also, I have to take the blame for that. I didn't set up my own traps. I didn't set up my own exits properly. So that's all me. That's all me. And then obviously Derek Lewis is Derek Lewis. He knows how to finish a fight, and he knows how to dictate on where things go for him. And hats off to him. Hopefully, if we do fight again in the future, it's in front of a big arena and it's for, like an interim belt or, the number one contender spot, something like that. But yeah, as of right now, I'm only focused on Curtis Blaydes.
For sure, and obviously,
Yeah.
you're going to be focusing on your wrestling, your
Yeah.
grappling a little bit more for this camp against Blades.
Yeah.
Who are the bodies
Yeah.
that that have been there to help you?
Really, it's really the same core group of guys. Ryan Appleby has really been my number one training partner. It's usually my brother, but Ryan has come in. He's like I said before, he's like a big 265 pound collegiate wrestler who's transitioning over to MMA. He's got one amateur fight, so he's ready to go. But man, that dude is heavy, and his blast doubles are really really good. Um, he's he's going to be dangerous, man. So like, um, he's going to be in that transitioning stage of like, and I'll break it down for you. In PA, he is limited to fighting in PA because his skill set dictates somewhere else. If he could fight in the South and Virginia, his skill set and people would be talking about him strictly because where he fights now, no one knows about him because the rules are very detrimental to his skill set. But Ryan is going to be a very good MMA fighter in the future, and he will definitely be signed by the UFC. And I'm super grateful to have him. Obviously everyone else that I train with, Pat Brady, my brother, obviously John, Kale, all those big guys, Oleg, and then all the guys doing the day class, the Hill brothers and all them. So I really appreciate those guys, and then Angelo too. Yeah, really good.
The last time you were in Vegas, right, for your brother's
Yeah,
fight, you took some
yeah,
tests, you did some blood work
yeah,
with the PI.
yeah.
What did you find out? How has that impacted your life?
Nothing. My test didn't get delivered in time apparently, so I got to get retested again. Yeah,
What?
sucks. Yeah, there's like a window that they have to like. It's like you have to fast for a certain time, then they have to bring the blood work to like the lab in a certain time, and it was like mixed up in like a I don't know. But I got to go back. I got to get more blood work done. It was stupid. I think it was my fault. It might have been the UFC PI's fault, but it's more than likely my fault, so I'll take the blame for that one. But no, yeah. So I don't know, but as soon as I get back to the PI, I'm definitely getting more testing done. But yeah, I mean, going through the other kind of testing besides the blood work stuff, like just my physical testing, how my body composition is, it's really good as far as like me burning calories is on the higher end about where I'm at. So I guess that's why I'm on the lighter aspect of being in the heavyweight division. Bone density is all good. So yeah, I'm really happy with where I'm at and where I'm at in my career right now. So yeah, we're good.
Sounds good. And what do you see in this fight, man? How do you envision the outcome?
Uh, it, I'm not a fool, man. He's the number one heavyweight wrestler, in I think the history of the UFC. I think he's got the most takedowns in a fight. I think he's got the most takedowns in the division. I'm not a fool. I fully expect at some point in this fight to be on my back up against the cage. I fully expect that if Curtis Blaydes wants to try and beat me up for 25 minutes with his wrestling, he can try and take me to hell, but that's fine. I'll gladly go on that ride with him. I plan to stuff his shots as best I can. I plan to make him work, obviously, and I plan to put my hands on him. As you can tell from the people who I fought before, not many people could take my shots, and he's got a good chin on him. I'll give him that. Um, he's been hurt recently. He's been hurt in his fights. It seems that he's been hurt in every single fight that he's had in the UFC, especially recently. So I'm going to test it out, and we'll see how that goes. We'll see if he can hold up, and if he can, congrats. But I don't see I don't see that happening.
You mentioned Ciryl Gane earlier, and that could be
Yeah,
a possible opponent if you get the win in this fight afterwards,
yeah,
and that will lead to the title.
yeah,
Man, that would be an interesting matchup right there, man. It's actually more interesting than the
yeah,
Blaydes fight.
yeah, yeah. I mean, not because it would get me to the title faster, but
Yeah,
I definitely want to test
stylistically.
myself against. Yeah, stylistically,
Mhm.
yes, and fighting a former champion. So that would be really
Yeah.
cool. I want to test myself against the best guys in the world. At one point, he was considered to be tied. We could say tied for the best guy in the heavyweight division. So yeah, that would be really cool. Stylistically, it would be fun. Um, I would have to change up some things in my game plan and in my training schedule, but I would fully accept that fight
Yeah.
on a 12-week camp or something like that. That's fine with me. So yeah.
Another reason why I think the UFC wanted you to fight in this main event because you probably don't say no to too many
I don't
things.
say no. Listen, man. Listen. I like to fight. I like to get paid.
Hmm.
I want to stay active. So yeah, after the Curtis Blaydes fight, really ain't got nothing going on. So if they want to call me up again, that'd be really cool. Except for June, I promised my wife I would not fight after June 4th. Yeah, June 4th. So my wife's due at the end of June. I
Okay.
can't be flying all over. I can't be flying all over the country and her going into labor early or something like that, and then me, you know,
Yeah.
it'd be fight week. My wife's calling me, yo, I'm in labor. I'm like, okay, I'll see you in a couple days. Like, I can't be doing that. So, yeah, June 4th is the last time. So get through Curtis Blaydes. I'll probably, fight one more time before then.
Yeah. Congrats on that, man. You're second or
Thank you.
third?
Second,
Second.
second. I'm gonna be having a little girl, so I'm really
Mhm.
excited about that one.
Damn. The girls are the best, man. I have a daughter myself.
Okay,
It just
okay.
makes you a different person after that, man.
That's what everyone's telling me, man. That's what everyone keeps telling me. So we'll see. I hope it's not too much of an impact, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, a good impact. You know what I mean? Nothing to
Good,
like mess with the other side of your life or
good,
whatever. Francis
good.
Ngannou, man, that's the big story right now for the heavyweight division. He's
Yeah,
sitting as the champ. Do you see him
yeah.
coming to terms with the UFC and signing a long term deal?
I do. I think that Dana sees what he has with Francis. Francis is no dummy. Um, yeah, he could take a boxing fight and get paid millions and millions of dollars against Tyson Fury, but I don't know. I think that Francis really enjoys fighting. Yeah, I think they get it done. I think Francis is gonna obviously take some time with the injury that he has. The first and I think only report I ever heard was 10 months, and then I think that he's going to be out for over a year, strictly because 10 months of surgery rehab, 3 months of a fight camp, so that's over a year. Yeah, so I think that the UFC and Francis will come to terms and be friendly in a year's time. So yeah.
If he does leave, is it a massive blow to the division, or does the machine move on?
Machine moves on, man. It's a finely tuned machine. Yes, it'll suck as far as watching him fight, watching him perform. Um, you know, he's really good for the sport. He's really good for people who are looking to join the sport. His story is incredible, and the UFC should have ran with that, I think, a little bit more and push that a little bit more. I mean, they obviously still can. He's the champion of the world. So, but if they do part ways, it sucks. It sucks. I hope they don't part ways. I hope that everyone can figure it out. I hope that everyone's level headed and cool, calm, and collected. That they can get their shit together.
Yeah, I hope so too. And
Yeah.
Cain Velasquez, the situation with him, man. When you
Yep.
first heard that news, what was your reaction to that?
Uh Kind of in shock, to be honest with you, because of everything that I've seen online of Cain. Now, I've never met Cain personally. I've never um, met anyone from AKA, anything like that. Just from everything I've seen as far as watching videos before I got into the UFC, um, you know, like all the AKA videos that they put out on YouTube, the documentaries. Cain seems to be like an awesome dude, and the people who are surrounded by Cain, like DC, I don't think DC would surround himself with quote unquote pieces of shit. I certainly don't think that Cain's really a piece of shit. So the I kind of got the idea that Cain is a really stand up guy and like a really good individual and a really good person. So I was really shocked that all that came out with Cain, all the news about everything, and it sucks. I made a tweet about it. Everyone, I was going back and forth with people about the legalities of everything and all that. Now, granted, that was Chris Daukaus Twitter. That was me. I didn't. I don't have it. Listen, I don't have anyone to answer to anymore. So I may say some crazy shit on Twitter. I don't care. I'm going to say some crazy shit on Twitter. Um, but yeah, that was just me as a dad speaking, as me as a father speaking of what you know. Dana said it. Everyone says what they would do. Cain actually did it. So, yeah. As far as a father aspect, I can respect that. As far as being a former police officer, it's a very bad thing that he tried to murder someone. I get it. I get it as a father of a son and soon to be daughter. I completely get it. But if I'm speaking from the police officer side, obviously you can't do that. Obviously, he's going to be locked up. Obviously, he's going to be charged. There's not just going to be like, oh, yeah, no problem, get out. So I think that's what the main thing that a lot of people were missing when I made that tweet is that that was me speaking as a father, as an individual, not as a person who was formerly a law enforcement officer. So yeah,
Yeah, I completely understand. And I think,
yeah,
when this bail thing was happening, right, with him, and
yeah,
everybody was expecting Velasquez to get bail. Have you ever
yeah,
seen anybody get bail with attempted murder charges?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh, for
yeah.
real? You have?
Yeah, man, come to Philadelphia, man. People don't they don't care. Yeah, yeah, it happens in
Wow.
Philadelphia. I can only speak to Philadelphia. Um, Obviously, it's where I worked for 10 years, but yes, in those 10 years, I did see people with attempted murder charges get out. Some people might have a bail of $1 million or whatever, $2 million. It gets paid. However, it gets paid, it gets paid. But they're out, and people are out, man, and that's just how it is. Obviously, I don't know. I don't think he was granted any bail, so that's out of the question. So, but for the person who he was attacking or trying to attack to be out on bail, it's a little. It shows you a little bit about our criminal justice system, especially in California.
very fishy stuff. And from the details, you know, Cain chased down the car like through three
Yes.
cities and then shot at
Yeah.
them, wounded one of
Yep.
them. It is going to be very hard to avoid jail time, right? With just those
Yeah.
details.
Yeah. Just those very limited details. Looking at it, I mean, it all depends on like if he knew about it prior. I mean, there is crimes of quote unquote crimes of passion when, but that's more, you know, I mean, but it all depends on the time frame. I mean, if people are start saying that he was just told about everything that was going on and he completely lost it and just went after this guy, okay, I get that defense. But if he was told about this months ago and he just couldn't get his hands on the guy, and then all of a sudden he's seen the guy out at like a store, or he's just driving past him, that's a completely different story. That's a completely different thing that we're talking about here. And that's what a lot of people don't tend to realize, is that all those things, when crimes are being committed, they all get played in a factor as far as like sentencing and charges, and how you know, judges rule on certain things, or how they instruct a jury on how to rule, or how, you know, like the defense will start playing up like, oh, he knew what he was doing, he was making this out to be like one of those movies about how he was going to get revenge and do all this. And it seriously needs to be considered about what his mental state was. I'm not saying as far as mental state, as far as, you know, obviously you're going to be traumatized by all that, but it's if it was told to him right then and there, or if it was months ago. So that's what's going to be a major factor, I think.
Yeah, it's I'm just gonna say it. It's a complete shit show, and
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
bad for.
Now, yeah, by all means, am I not defending that piece of shit? I think that I'm not going to say anything. I'm not saying anything. But speaking as a father, I would have, I agree with what Cain did. Speaking as a former law enforcement, obviously I do not agree with what Cain did. Speaking from a former law enforcement side, and you want to follow the laws, and you think that you would like to think that the, you know, justice system in this country is not broken, but shit looks fucking broken to me, man. Yeah.
Well, something, you know, I guess we just got to see how it plays out, and hope for the best
Yeah.
for his family. March 26th, man. UFC Columbus main event. You're back in the cage. I'm excited for you, man. This is another huge fight. Appreciate the time, Chris. Thank you so much.
Of course, man. Thanks, man. Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure talking to you, especially since we've been doing this for a long time, man. I really appreciate that.